Yo, guys, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of Maron SA Weekly. This is Education Edition. You're here. Welcome to Classroom. We've got the whiteboard up, and we're doing a iteration on the podcast we ran last week where we explained how to grow in a 0.8 by 0.8 system. So we went through like every component. As you can see, a lot of the components or all of the components are actually still here. There's nothing we would drop, right, between a 0.8 to a, well,
It's just
really.
more
Yeah,
of
it's all more.
more and
Yeah.
bigger.
So, so this is for the bigger boys that out there. They want to, they've expanded, they've learned paid their school fees on the 0.8. You've learned what you've learned, and you're ready to upscale to 2.4 by 2.4. And like Dean, you made a good point. Like this is when the serious, it's getting a bit serious now.
Yeah, well, I mean, the investment to get into something like this, just for the sheer amount of light alone that you need to power a system or a space of this size, it kind of points to someone who's going to be more serious. It's going to be upwards of potentially around 30,000 to get involved into something like this, all the way up to potentially around 60K if you've really got the buck and you want to go balls to the walls. So
Yeah.
those are more serious numbers. I mean, those are heavy investments. It's no longer playing games. Now you're a serious smoker and you're going to make liters of dab, and and that's why you would get one of these, or you just never want to buy weed again and you have the capital. Multiple reasons.
Yeah.
But it's something you need to highly consider. Like if it's entry level, a lot of people start out smaller, but 9 times out of 10, if someone loves it, they end up with something like this.
100% agreed. Okay, so we're going to smash through some of the stuff from last time, little bit by little bit. Do make sure you guys check the last video for more details on the products. And but yeah, for this one, we're just going to, and what we didn't include in the last video, we're going to go into a little bit more detail on it. So I suppose this one's right here. Got their fungicide and insecticide. Those you would say are pretty critical.
And our main guy over here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So that's gonna be under this. I've made this skew now, and I can't get it straight. Oh, there we go. Yeah. So only thing. I mean, I think last time, like in an 08, the 500 ml bottle of these is going to be fine, but you're probably going to need like in the literage size. We're going to talk a lot about that stuff today. Is like size changes. On that, insecticides, we've got insect catchers. Those are small but essential, I think, at this scale. Spray bottle. Well, that wasn't included in the last one,
wasn't it? I think it should have been, seeing we did chat about the insecticide and the pesticides, but obviously to apply the insecticide or the fungicide or the wetting agent, you need to apply it via a foliar spray. None of these are like soil drenched kinds of products. So getting a spray bottle or owning multiple spray bottles personally is important. You want one where you put maybe your harder stuff in, and something maybe where you put your softer or clean water in. And I really like the ones with these longer hand nozzles. Reason being, you when you spray, you coat on top and under and the stem, and you got to get in the back left corner and the back right. So having a little bit of a pole with a nozzle where you can get all the angles. It sounds weird, but yeah, it's a time saver rather than a
it's
small
like a
bottle.
little sniper rifle when you're when you first get one, it's quite fun. You can like get right to the roots, or you can do like the area waterage. It's quite fun.
I like playing with the nozzle until you get like a nice mix between like a hard spray and like a mist, and then I literally use it like a shotgun, like pss, 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 like die bugs.
Yeah, I agree. That's quite a good one. This is a 5 liter in this case. Maybe for the 08, get a 2 liter. Maybe a 2 liter without the like extender nozzle. What else have you dropped there?
Yeah, so I just
wetting agent.
Yeah, the wetting agent is my favorite. I actually did a video on it recently for anyone that wants to go have a look. But it's a really incredible product. It's insecticidal. It wets, it cleans. So it's just something that you really can't beat without in your garden, and you basically use it in a combination with the other products in order to gain more effect from them. So yeah, it's one of the IPM products that we are definitely essential.
And how much, how much grow? And I mean, I suppose we could have actually expanded on some of the nutrients, but like grow and bloom news, they probably need a bit more, maybe a bigger size bag.
Yeah, I think in future we could probably bring up a jam board as we have now and do something more heavily nutrient related. There are essential components to the tent, and we could go on more, but you are going to be using more volume of grow and bloom products. I'd probably say for a full 18 plant stack in this tent, you would use about 2.5 kilos of each product. Oh no, maybe 2.5 kilos of the bloom, and maybe about 5 bags of the bloom at 500 and 3 bags of the grow at 500 grams on a guesstimation on kind of my level of usage.
Ballpark it. Okay, pot wise, how many do we need? Because what's the plant count on a system of this size?
So a plant count on a system of this size, I would say if you're going to grow big scrogs, you could do 450 liters per side, so 8 plants total. If you're going for 30 liters, you could maybe do around 12. And I personally rather like a more high density stack, so then you could do about an 18 plant stack in a tent like this in 22 liters, and that you get a really nice spread across the space. Also, like with the tent specifically, like we have listed here, you can open up the sides as well. So it's just the back end you have to worry about getting into when training and stuff like that. So yeah, about when we suggest to clients, we call this the 12 to 18 plant system.
Yeah. Okay, so on top of that, we got 18 pots. We'll need 18 pellets and 18 seeds. Those are self-explanatory, and we went into quite a bit of detail on that. Soil-wise, I suppose if we're doing 22 liters...
13 bags of soil or so. It's about 400 liters of 400 liters in the 22, so 22 times 18 divided by 30 for most bag sizes. So yeah, about 13 bags of soil. That's a pretty decent investment. You're looking at just under 3K for just the soil, but you could reuse it in the future if you're using something like the August Solux or the Freedom Farms. They are both able to be re-amended and reused according to the soil test results that we did with Kaya Farms previously.
There's just one thing. So, I mean, if we're quoting on a system for you guys, it's just bear in mind, like soil doesn't move that well. So if you get a large shipping charge on it, just, speak to us about the soil, because it could be something you could get locally that's palleted up. It's always like a big part of this, like a physical part of the system.
Yeah. When Andy says it doesn't move well, he means it doesn't transport with the courier as well.
Okay, what else have we got from last? Okay, hygrometer. It might be worth getting 2. It's not a lot, and you could have just as a cross,
a bit more data,
bottom and top.
I have one above the canopy, one on the canopy, and then one below the canopy, and then I take 3 different data sets. And then I'll do basic math just to constantly work out like a 3-point average in the tent. And then I'll mostly take the one right on canopy. So when you're dealing with a larger space, you have more investment. A little bit more data is important. As we always say, it's a data-driven game. This, so you're wanting to have as much availability as you can. And if you've dropped 3K on soil, you can drop 3 handy on hygrometers,
Okay, on measuring, we've got pH. I think just one pH pen will be fine. You could maybe, there's different quality pH meters. You could, some of them go up to like $50, 1,000 Rand per meter. But, these have been, ours that we stock are tried and tested.
They're pretty reliable. They last the time, and for the price, by the time they do give up, it's tired boss, and then you just give it a give them an old replacement.
Okay, so then last time we discussed the need for inverters and backup power systems. That's a critical one that you will need in South Africa, as the load shedding, power isn't always reliable. But it might be nice wherever you are in the world, because it's a costly thing to experience blackout or something like that, and now you don't have power just to keep your plants in schedule. So that's an important one. Ducting. Anything else we would need on the ducting side?
The inline fan up at the top. So this is our first one where like I'd like to suggest a direct differentiation. In an 08, you definitely only need one inline fan.
And we didn't specify the size last time. I think this is actually it's the same picture, but in the 08, probably 100 mil inline fan, and then now this setup probably 200 mil.
200 mil, and like so you can get away with the 200 mil. You'll get a nice negative pressure, but to maximize it, I would have an active intake and an active exit on this specific space. Whereas on the 08, you wouldn't require an active intake. You can just rely on the negative pressure and then oscillating air movement within. So like on the 2.4, you're just dealing with more plant breathing and more water moving, and it just seems to be harder to control the humidity without doing more active. But like, with that being said, you know, I've run multiple runs in a 2.4 just with one exit and a passive intake, and that was fine. And then eventually when I did upgrade, I just noticed it easier to handle. But it's you know, it's not, one is essential and two is might need.
Do you run it on different speeds, the active and outtake?
I've just been running them both on full crank. 3 power.
Okay, cool. Okay, in conjunction with that, something new that we can add in is a carbon filter. Why don't you just give us a quick explanation of carbon filter?
When you're dealing with an 08 grow tent and you've got 2 plants in there, smell's not really, it's going to smell, but it's not really going to be that much of an issue, okay? But now when you've got 18 plants and you're week 6 of flower, and it's a hot day, you'll smell that, like, you'll smell it very clearly.
People are going to know.
Yeah, and for those of you whose ops are close to the road, or you've got neighbors who don't like the smell, just can cause problems down the line. I mean, you're allowed to grow, but like you still don't want people alerted to the fact that you're growing. It's just like rather be private. It's valuable equipment and valuable crop, you know. So the carbon filter will be on your outtake. You could have one on your intake too, and then like filter the air going in for pathogens and filter the air going out. But like technically, you'd use this as the outtake. And the outtake the carbon kills the smell, and then clean, fresh air goes out, and well, clean air from smell goes out, and you're allowed to suck your fresh air in, and it's just going to remove that parry of the smell, and that bringing attention to what you're doing.
Okay, we've got 2 that we did have last time. We got the hanging kit. That's just for adjusting the light fixtures up and down, which is quite self-explanatory. And then we also have the fan. Oscillating fans, but the oscillating fans, that might change quite a bit now because we're going to need more than one, obviously.
Yeah, on those clip-ons, I'd say do 1 on every pole, so like 8 if you're doing those clip-ons, which are quite small. I think they're like 14 inches, if I'm not mistaken.
Like this, right?
Yeah, like this. Yeah. Okay, but we do have other options. Like if you have a bit more of a DIY in you, what you could do is maybe fit 2 pieces of wood on either side of the grow, and then mount a wall fan onto those pieces of wood. So now you could have maybe 2 40-centimeter fans above the canopy, and then 2 below the canopy. But like air movement in a 2.4 with that many plants is highly important. If you don't have enough air movement, it's going to invite molds and all of those things. But on top of that, like the plants grow in such a heavy stack that if they're not moving, they're not going to be strong, and when the buds come, they're going to all be small and they're going to be falling over, and it's just going to, the canopy won't be able to support itself. I mean, you're going to put a scrog net in anyway, probably, but like you know, with air movement, like it's really necessary. So I'd say 8 small oscillating, 4 slightly larger, but yeah, you don't want to have any patch of that space that's not getting a good consistent air movement.
Actually, well, you mentioned there scrognet. That's something we could have added in, because I do think that's
I thought of it in
essential.
I thought of it in that moment, but I was like, ooh, maybe I don't say it, but I just said it anyway.
All right. Okay. So now moving on to some of the big ticket items. Before I move them in, I suppose we've got 2 here. So I just want to mention, okay, so what's your official recommendation? Then you can tell us a little bit about the Lumi afterwards for 2.4. Okay.
So my official recommendation was either from our range, 240, 240s if you're going to go that route on the King Brides, or 480s. Like yeah. I know 5 times 240 is more than 2 times 480, but sorry. Like you can't fit 3 480s in the space very nicely. It becomes a little bit awkward. So that would be on the King Bride size. This 480 King Bride is one of my favorite lights that we've ever had the chance to retail and also to get experience with. But recently, as of not even 5 days before making this piece of content, we came into contact with this brand new grow light, which we were told is coming into the market. And we are proud to say that we have secured some for you guys in the very, very near future. Now, this is something that makes me so excited. I literally went to the expo, saw this at the expo, went back there like multiple times. We know the company that imports it. We know the guys. And yeah, it's basically the first piece of tech of its kind on South African shores. It's a LED that is powered by an HID/metal halide ballast. So any of you out there who have a Lumi Black 600 watt, you could take your old fixture, your old HPS fixture, you could retire that bad boy, maybe frame it for all the hard work it's done, and then you could literally plug in this LED into the Lumi Black ballast, and that would become your new fixture, your new light. 720 watt, and for the price it's going to retail for, if you've got the ballast, you're looking at under 9,000 rand for this specific product. And in this grow space, you could put 2 of those in there and you would never need to dream of getting another light. It also comes with a 5-year warranty. So for the next 5, you're cranking this light, with that ballast. The ballast might burn out in that time, maybe. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, it's quite a nice use of the technology that's available, and like at a cost point for our South Africa especially, it just works out perfectly. And it's like, I mean, everywhere, like why it makes logical sense. We know the cost of drivers, just like the meanwhile drivers on the boards. Ballasts are existing tech. They've got high manufacturer capacity. Yeah, it's just a all-rounder. So you might see that on some quotes in the future, but I'm still going to put the King Bright.
Yeah, shame. I feel bad for the King Bright because it's one of my favorite grow lights. I'm not putting it down. We are just excited about this new piece of tech. And especially once again for the price point, I think that as South Africans, we need to save as much as where we can, where possible, but we also want to get quality stuff, So when something comes at a really good price point, using tech that seems pretty innovative, using old tech and blending it with new, that to me is quite exciting.
How many do you think they should put in there in their 2.4? 2?
You won't fit more than 2. That light is designed for a 1.2 by 1.2 spread. So it will fully maximize you could have a fully dense canopy from corner to corner. No, not one spot of that tent will need extra light. So you're not going to have to supplement anywhere. You're not going to have a dead spot, as sometimes happens with LED. You're getting that full spread area. So if you pop 2 of those in there, you are literally sorted. You will never need another light.
Really. On electrics, let's talk about, we've got a timer that was in the 08 that we're going to need, but we're going to need an additional one just because these timers have a throughput, like a maximum throughput, I think of
3,500 watts, but like also as with electronics, you never want to for longevity of a product, don't push it to the max. You're asking for a fire. Oh, my hands! You're asking for a fire, basically, if you're doing stuff like that, or your unit's gonna burn out. Just run them at half. So I do one per ballast, maybe, and then then you 1 per light, and then you sort it, and you'll get more life out of your timer.
And then on that, one of our favorite products, power meter. I mean, I suppose it's unfortunate. It is optional, but in these days, if you're growing at that scale and you want to know what your costs are involved, this is a professional setup and you want to know, exactly rands allocated to the grow. If you're in a space where there's either multiple grows or multiple people growing, you want to know that the power meter basically records how much energy you're using, and then you can work out how much rands it's costing you to grow the bud. At the end of the day, you can get an electricity cost per gram. essentially.
Each different stage, like, okay, cool, at this stage I'm running this many fans and this many watts and this much power on the fan. So then you can work out for each stage like what it's costing you, and to have that kind of data removes once again the estimation kind of value, which is you want to avoid as much as possible.
Yeah. And then what else? Okay, yeah, surge protectors. I mean, don't want to, like, it is essential, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think where we in South Africa specifically, once again, to just bring it back right home, where we see massive power surges is during load shedding periods, and like if you're like, I'll often go and unplug my PC and everything, that doesn't have a protector on it, because when the power comes back on, multiple times I've seen appliances blow. So if you can avoid that stress, it's kind of makes sense.
Yeah, and then just quick, I suppose drip trays it's, you can either use these big square ones across the whole, like 2 of them across the floor, or you could probably just get the circular ones that go under the pots. It's just like now you're getting at a bigger scale, like keeping your tent clean and your environment clean is going to be a lot easier with these sort of add-ons. And then water tank. Was the water tank meant for the trough system?
Yeah, so basically when we are doing 2 plants or doing 4 plants, it's very easy to hand water. But when you now have 18 plants or 24, that it's just so much more time consuming to control something on that level. So when you do get to this kind of level, automating certain roles within the tent starts to become important, So you can do it 2 ways. We've got the 2 ways here. In an organic system, we could use a trough system, and we could a blue mat system, and we could automate the fresh water giving, and then you're just going to feed or use dry amendments. Or alternatively, we could use the Trollmaster, which is a piece of automation tech. You could, with this, you could get some sort of data-based app. You have an app and it plugs into the internet and it starts to give you live data. And then you could also, on top of that, start to automate things like pumps or fans, or the list really goes on with the Trollmaster. You could probably even plug your kettle into it, so like you could boil your kettle from the grow room while you're like
20 minutes before your daily care of your plant starts. It's like boils the kettle so that the coffee's ready.
Yeah, you have it like plugged to a siren, like in your lounge space. It like sirens so that you like know that the kettle's on. Then like as soon as the kettle's done, then you go to the kitchen, and then you go straight into your grow room, and the possibilities are endless with the Trollmaster. But whereas with the Trop, you're looking at like maybe for a 12 system, you're looking at sub 1.5, I think, or around 1.5. I'm not really sure, around there. For the Trollmaster, you're looking at about sub just over 7. So it's much more, but you do get more. So like it depends on what route you're gonna go. I'm using both of them. I'm privileged to be doing a test on the Trollmaster now, and I've had a Trop system for a long time. And I must say that, like, from someone who hand watered for about 8 years, I don't even know why I went to that distance,
But I would say that like, if you're really on a budget, that you can still put in the sweat equity and like be there every day, and it's a little bit difficult. But they say, if you had to choose, I'd probably go with the trough. It's a bit cheaper. And then secondly, the troll on top of that, if you really wanted to add some automation in that space. But you could work fine with the system up here.
On that point, like, if you're looking at the investment in this, you want to make sure you're investing properly into your lights and your space and your ventilation. And then after that point, make your life easier. So like water for the first grow with your hand to get to know your system, and then buy the automation system. Don't buy one light and automate and then think you're going to do the amount of plants. Like, invest into the sun first and then into making your life easier.
I think if you time is like a big part of this. This is no longer taking 25 minutes a day. This is probably taking closer to at least an hour a day, once it's with no learning curves involved. If you don't make any mistakes, or you don't have a breakout and everything's going all right. And then cross up every single day. So if you've got a busy schedule, you might need some of these things to help save you get you some of your life back. Okay. Last thing,
go away on the weekend.
Yeah. What's that? Okay, cool. Dehumidifier. Critical, I would say.
Yeah, so critical depending on the time of year. Like in summer, you can probably get away with it fine, but then going into winter and also let me also just say on that point, depending on your watering practices. Like if you're overwatering and flooding the space, you're gonna have all this excess water. It's gonna spike your humidity completely. So like in order to gain control of that space and to avoid massive swings in your humidity like this, because big swings is going to cause like stuff like powdery mildew to be able to thrive, then you do need to look at a dehumidifier. And like a dehumidifier, I have that exact one pictured. I have a 12-liter, and it's pulling out from the air in my grow space. It's pulling out between 5 on a bad day and 8 liters of clean, fresh water from the air. I dipped the EC pen in, it came in 0, and I dipped the pH pen in, and it was like pH stable. So I've just been like utilizing it to water my outdoor plants. But like, it is, you know, when you've invested into all these components, there's nothing worse than a massive mold breakout coming and you having to lose a whole crop. And you could avoid that by having a bit of dehumidification control. And they're pretty power intensive. They run, I don't know, probably 24 hours a day on and off, depending on the rate that you set them. When they get their desired humidity, they do turn off. But they're at maximum, it draws about 180 watts, if I'm not mistaken. So it's not too bad when you look at okay, 1,440 watts in light.
it's just part of the process, and like it's still like, you know, whatever. I mean, I don't know what your intentions are, but it's probably still going to be better than buying bud per se. Wherever you're buying, it's still going to be cheaper growing it your own, and you know, it's if depends what you're doing with whatever you're growing. Anyway, enough on that. I think we've pretty much covered it, the whole concept. Any tips of a 2.4 that we might have just might want to throw in as bonus?
So when you're running a 2.4 grow system or investing in a 2.4 grow system, you are able to produce quite a lot of flower. So like as an investment, you see a return on investment in value of flower quite quickly. So for like any guy wanting to get quite serious or wanting to drive and they don't have a room space, like a 2.4 by 1.2 is one of the sort of more you know, it's a more serious grow system. And that being said, with going into a serious grow system, you know, as a beginner, there is a massive learning curve. So if you are thinking of starting off on a larger level, please go and do as much research as you physically can, because it is a massive undertaking compared to 1 or 2 plants. Like 1 or 2 plants is easy. You can get away with it. When you go to this level, you need to work hard, and you need to be dedicated, and you need to put in the daily work to get the results that you want. You can't get something like this and just expect it to yield results. You know, you're dealing with so many things can go wrong because you're dealing with more and more checks and more sprays and more maintenance, and all of that together, it means you need to put in more effort in the long run.
100%. Yeah, guys, we would love to be there part of the journey and help you get growing. So make sure to reach out to us. We do have a website. You have to look it up. And we have some contact details below. And you can also reach us through Instagram and a few other places. And of course, thanks always for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. And we will check you guys next week. Peace out.
Peace, guys.